Hello guys and welcome back to a new league racing season. The first one on Apex Online Racing on F1 2016 and season 12 of AOR overall on the F1 games. And it's actually the first time in a while that I'm racing in the AOR F1 leagues. First time since season 9 on F1 2014 that I'm doing a full season, as of course in season 10 I was commentating on the Xbox 360 league, and as for season 11 that was on F1 2015, which didn't really excite me. However, this game does excite me and I'm happy that I'm back on the track now, starting my first qualifying lap back in AOR F1. And as you probably noticed as well, a bit of a change in scenery for me in the sense that I have changed over from Xbox to the PC for the league races. While up until season 9 I usually did race on the Xbox 360 side, but now for this one I am in the AOR PC Split 1 League, as it's called, which is basically the top league on the PC side, the equivalent of the Xbox F1 League on that side, which is of course still happening as well in Season 12, just not with me as a driver in it. And there will be some pretty exciting videos from the Xbox League also on my channel very soon. But as a driver this season, my focus is on the PC League. There is 5 leagues actually over on the PC. For the first time ever in a full AOR season on F1, the PC side has more sign-ups in terms of driver numbers than the console platforms. 100 drivers signed up overall, plus even more than that that signed up after the initial deadline. So 5 different league divisions on the PC, and this of course being the top one out of them, the 20 fastest drivers on the PC side at the moment, based on the time trials and evaluation races that were held pre-season. And luckily I was one of them, so here we go. We have just done our first qualifying lap. Hopefully we can get to the line with a decent time here and see where that will put us. P6 provisionally on the grid, not too bad to be honest. That's actually higher than I expected to be, because I didn't have the most ideal preparation for this race. I had planned to do a lot of practice, but it just didn't work out that way, because I just had so many things to sort out in the lead up to the race on Sunday. And as we're now in the very last moments of qualifying, you can see I've dropped out to P8 provisionally on the grid as well, but we are up on our previous lap time by nearly 0.3 of a second. So it was looking like I might just improve on my initial lap time, but then that happened, a massive oversteer moment onto the back straight, which dropped me a lot of time onto that straight. And as you can see on the delta now, I completely threw that all the way, and then I turned in way too early for the penultimate corner. So that's that lap in the bin. After a cut like that I would have aborted the lap willingly anyway, but of course the game gave me a warning, meaning even if I wanted to finish it, I wouldn't have been able to. But at least I remained in P8 on the grid, which pretty much in the midfield, and not too bad to be honest. I'm quite happy with that, even though if I hadn't messed up that last run I could have been top 5. So then, on the grid, getting ready to the race, and here is a strategy screen, which is quite interesting actually, because what I had prepared before the race was actually to do a one-stop strategy using one set of the soft tires and one set of the medium tires. And that's basically because I had no expectation of qualifying inside the top 10. But as it turns out, I did qualify in the top 10, meaning I have to start the race on these super soft tires, which kind of threw my one-stop strategy plan out the window. So instead, I'm planning anyway to do start of course on the super soft and then do 2 stints on the softs after that. So 2-stop strategy instead, which at least means that I won't have to spend any time in the race on the slower medium compound tire, but yeah, I'll have to do an extra pit stop and spend some more time in the pits, which is not the most ideal, but we'll see how it works out. I assume everyone ahead of me who also qualified on the super softs will have to do the same. And speaking of the other drivers, there might be a few new names for you guys, considering I've been mostly on the Xbox side previously. And I'm not going to run through all the names here. I might touch on a few other drivers during the race, but what I will do is I'll leave a link in the description to episode 1 of the AOR PC talk show, where Pepper F1 and Ryan L83 run through all the drivers on the grid, give a bit of information on them, a bit of stats and some predictions of how they might do in the season as well. So if you want to know a bit more about the drivers in this league before we get going for the race, then feel free to pause this one and just check out that talk show before we go. But now it is time for the lights to come out and for round 1 of Season 12 to get underway here at Melbourne in Australia. And we have gotten a pretty okay kind of average-ish start there off the grid. Trying to take it easy now into turn 1 as the commentators have retired from the session, and the Mercedes ahead of me, Berg, has spun it there. We one Mercedes spun off, the other one, Nuka, passed me around the outside through turn 1 as I had to kind of brake to avoid that one. Luckily, we have managed to just about stay out of trouble. We got Burkhoff now pressuring us into turn 3 as well, but we managed to hold onto that position with the inside line. And I also noticed that Cool Cat retired from the race as well, so he must have had an incident back there. Don't worry about the game saying that King Kodiak and Fakos Pirate were retiring, because those are only commentating on the race and live streaming, which by the way you are free to come and watch every Sunday night at 8 PM on King Kodiak's Twitch channel. I'll try to remember to put a link to that in the description as well, as we now got Burkhoff storming up the inside of us there into turn 9. Luckily we saw that coming, didn't really want any part of that, and Burkhoff's got a much better run down towards turn 11 as well. I didn't really understand how he got that much of a better run, having taken that tighter line, but he's managed to get ahead of us for now. But we haven't gotten a good exit then out of turn 12, and it's going to be side by side already on the first lap down towards turn 13. He's braked slightly later and actually managed to keep hold of that. I was understeering towards him anyway, so it's just as well that I ended up behind him so that there was no contact. But yeah, already it's getting pretty hectic on the first lap of the race. It's costing us a lot of time though, battling with Burkhoff. You can already see more than a second of a gap has formed to the top 7, which is not ideal because of course from lap 3 there will be DRS enabled, unless you're more than a second behind the car ahead, of course. But it's a long way to go. 28 more laps to drive here in the lovely Renault Sport F1 team car. And if you're wondering who my teammate is actually in this beautiful Renault car, that would be Race Fanatic from Finland. However, unfortunately, he had some PC problems, which means that he's actually the only driver that was not able to get onto the grid for the season opener. But he's a very fast guy, he's a great driver. I'm sure he'll be back for round 2 and hopefully scoring some points for the team there. As for this race though, it's down to me to score points if Renault is to get off to a solid start to the season, and that's not going to help. Already on lap number 4 I have turned in too early for turn 6, picked up a warning from the game, completely deserved of course, just a misjudgment there from myself. And of course the biggest problem with that is that if you get 3 warnings throughout the race, you will pick up a 3-second time penalty. So to have a warning already on the 4th lap of the race when there's still 25 to go, that is not quite what you want. So we're just going to have to try to keep focusing on these super soft tires, of course, which are wearing pretty fast. They're still in decent shape, but I'm just not feeling too comfortable on them in this first stint. Burkhoff, though, definitely not feeling comfortable with that. Losing the car on the grass, and now I'm going to be side by side around the outside there. And with the inside line for the penultimate corner, can we get this position? There's a bit of a contact there. I think Burkhoff turned into our rear tire slightly, which completely stopped us from turning. We ended up on the outside of the track. Burkhoff, though, ended up worse off than us. Ryan, actually, my co-op teammate, of course, from the other series that we do, he's ended up taking advantage of that one. He's Burkhoff's teammate, in fact, also in the McLaren. He's running the soft tires, though, which is a little bit worrying, actually, that he is only right behind us on the slower compound tires, and surely now, with the super soft starting to wear off more in the coming laps as well, Ryan might just have a little bit of a pace advantage. We are now on lap 6. You can see Ryan has managed to keep up well behind us in those 2 laps, and my tires are getting into a pretty bad state. So at the end of lap 6, I've decided to go into the pits for the first out of the 2 planned stops in the race, braking pretty damn early, being very cautious with the pit entry. Last thing you want is a drive-through penalty, and yeah, on this game, doing the pit entry is something I always just forget to practice, so I don't really have any braking reference for it. I just have to try and spot the speed limit board and kind of take it a bit on the fly. But there we go. We've been in the pits now, and we are dropping down all the way to 16th position in the race. So it seems we have pitted a little bit earlier than most of the guys that were ahead of us. And of course, most of the guys that started behind us will have started on a more durable compound of tire, meaning they wouldn't have had to pit that early. We have picked up 3 positions back though from cars pitting, as we're now on lap 10. We are up to P13. O'Dan ahead of us being one of those guys who started further back down the field but on a slower tire. So you can see he's really starting to struggle a bit on those mediums, sliding all over the place on this lap. And although the medium tires are very durable indeed, they are pretty slow. And of course, after 10 laps, even the medium tires will be starting to feel the wear. And O'Donoghue is definitely feeling it. Didn't get a great run out of turn 12, which means we are going to take advantage into turn 13 up the inside. And the move has been done. So 12th place then, and you can see on the minimap a huge train of cars through the final 2 corners now. So lots of cars for us to try to catch up to. You can see also there's some cars in the pit lane at the moment. 3 cars in the pit, which means we will be picking up a few positions. There's Berg von Trips to go spun off on turn 1. Ryan's been in the pits as well. Nuka has come out just in front of us, in fact. He's of course the guy that passed me around the outside of turn 1 on the start when I was avoiding Berg, who got squeezed on the curb on the inside. And another Scandinavian worth pointing out, Nuka, is from Sweden though, unfortunately, not Norwegian, but Swedish. And there are quite a few Nordic drivers in the league actually. We got me, of course, from Norway. We got Race Fanatic, my teammate, from Finland, and also Non-Runner actually from Finland as well. We've got Nuka from Sweden, we got Mini Black and LolDK from Denmark, which is pretty cool. And now on the end of lap 11, and Nuka goes back into the pit lane after having just come out. So quite clearly, the only explanation I can have for that is that he sped on the pit entry and got a drive-through penalty, so that's going to cost him quite a lot. We're now up to P9 in the race on lap 12, and you can see there's battling ahead of us with a chicane and some other car that I'm not quite sure who was, battling for 7th place in the race. That is Kellon, actually, the Austrian, up in 7th there, and chicane, the Dutchman, in 8th. Both of those will have started on a durable compound tire and therefore are at the stage at the end of the first stint with lots of wear, and chicane's going very slow. We managed to get around him, but he's pitting anyway, so made that pretty easy for us. But it's these things that kind of make it a bit difficult to understand where you are in the oh my god, where you are in the race, as we picked up another warning now in the same corner as we picked up our first one, turn 6 being a bit of a bitch. And there's going to be even more controversy. There's a massive smoke cloud ahead. Knally has been off the pits, and that is Sebi up ahead of Kellon now as well. Both of those guys have been off the track and presumably had an incident with each other, which means we are now up in 7th position. Obviously, never nice to see incidents happen out on track, but in terms of my own race, I will gladly take some free positions here and there when I can. Sebi in the Red Bull there, being one of the faster guys, of course. He qualified 4th, I believe, unless I'm mistaken on that one. But Kellon, though, he's on the medium tires, and that will be the tires he started the race on, whereas Sebi ahead, also on mediums, but on much fresher mediums, since he started on the super soft and will have it pitted later on. And speaking of mediums, Nick B in the pit lane, putting a new set of mediums on his car. So we are up to 6th place, and Kellon's locked up. He's gone very wide in turn 1, another free position for me then, up to 5th all of a sudden. But yeah, as I mentioned, it's hard to know how the race is going to pan out in terms of strategy, because now I'm P5. But okay, I'm going to pit for the 2nd time in the race now at the end of lap 17, and some of the drivers in the race are going to pit twice. Some of the guys are going to probably try to just pit once, which means we won't really know exactly where we are until probably the last 8 or so laps. But we're going to stick on another set of the soft tires. Let's see how far down the field we'll drop this time. 12th as it stands, and it doesn't seem to be anyone else coming down the pit lane. There is a couple of cars now, but they're going to be too far back. So we're in 12th position then after our final spot, which hopefully means that we can only move up from here unless we make a mistake on the track. And now to come through the final few corners on lap 20, there's been more drama. Yellow flag, Nuka sitting there on the side of the track. I think he would have been behind me anyway, because he still has a pit in the race, and of course he was going to have that drive-through earlier on. But a shame for Nuka, more trouble for him. As LolDK has been in the pits as well, so we are suddenly back in the top 10 through just driving, basically, and other people's strategies panning out on the side. So in the first few laps on this stint, I was basically just driving around, just seeing how the strategy of the other guys were unfolding. Because what more can you do, really? At least has some clean air, so I was able to put in nice and consistent laps. Ryan in the pits as well for a 2nd time. Quite surprising to me, considering he started on the softs and then went, I think anyway, on the mediums for his 2nd stint. He clearly decided that he would not be able to one-stop the race. So we are now in 8th position, and there's a group of 3 cars not too far ahead. So let's try to get a bit closer and see if we can get involved with the crazy bands that is about to unfold potentially up ahead. There is side by side there actually. I think that's Burkhoff, the man we were battling on the first stint, who must be on a very different strategy if he's ended up back ahead of us. And there's been contact between him and Sebi up there. Sebi spun off into the wall, may or may not have some damage from that. Either way, he's dropped behind me. So, and there we go as well, Burkhoff in the pits, so he's going to be out of the way. We're up to 6th place. Man, this is working out great, and Berg von Trips is in 5th, but which is very impressive considering he was the guy who spun off on a turn 1 of the race. But of course he will also be on a different strategy. He's on the medium tires and will have only done 1 stop so far, which means his mediums are going to be pretty damn worn at this point, whereas Sebi behind me would be on pretty fresh, super soft tires. So tire wise, this train is interesting because Berg leading the train is on the slower tires. My tires are the second slowest tires, and then Sebi behind is on the fastest tires. So I will obviously be trying to pass Berg here, while Sebi also will be challenging me from behind. And Sebi is looking better off in terms of doing that because it's gotten very close here. I felt I need to go defensive into turn 9, managing to hit the apex nicely, but it's going to compromise our exit to take that kind of line, which means Sebi now in the slipstream as well, which is very powerful on this game. Outside into turn 11, which means we're gonna have a not ideal line, very tight line there, and he's actually held on around the outside. Has Sebi, fair play to him, a great move. I took it a little bit cautiously because I knew that if I threw it in there with as much speed nearly as you normally would, then I clearly would have understeered into him, and probably there would have been some contact. So I've managed, well, I haven't managed, I have allowed him to get past, I guess, just from not being too aggressive in that battle. Sebi, not only on pace but also on tires, faster than me anyway, so probably would have gotten past at some point. And as you can see, he's already gone straight after Berg ahead. He's looking so fast in that Red Bull. So what I can hope for, I guess, is an incident between those two guys ahead. I mean, that would be ideal for me, but not so much for them. Sebi's gone up the inside into turn 3, and he's made the move stick pretty easily indeed. Berg also let him go through. So there we go. Sebi up into 5th all of a sudden, just taking 1 lap to get both of those moves done. Efficient driving from him. And now on the end of lap 24, there's only going to be 5 more laps in the race after this one. And Berg's car has got a target on his back. And oh no, we have messed it up. We have understeered wide through that corner. We picked up a 3rd warning for exceeding track limits, which is going to give us a 3-second penalty, which is pretty annoying, and of course means that if we are to beat Berg now, we definitely need to pass him very quickly, because we also then need to pull a gap once we get past. Here we go, DRS enabled down towards turn 3, not too close, but we're going to brake later. A little bit of a dive bomb up the inside, locking the tires as well, but we managed to get the move done and holding on through the next corner as well, even though our lines aren't quite ideal through here. Also understeering wide on that corner, but yeah, and then missing the apex completely there as well. Man, I'm really getting a little bit flustered, maybe because of that warning or penalty even that I got. My driving this lap hasn't been great at all, but at least I managed to make the overtake on Berg, who, it must be said actually, Berg is the reigning champion in this league. He won PC Split 1 on season 11 on F1 2015. So clearly a very good driver, it just hasn't worked out for him in the race. But now then, here is where we stand. We're on to the final lap of the race, and we have been able to put in some good lap times. We have a 2.3 second gap to Berg, which means that because of our 3-second penalty, we need to have a fantastic last lap here. We need to be 7/10 at least faster than Berg behind, so that we can get that 3-second gap and still remain ahead of him on the final results. So it's ultimate concentration time. We just need to keep it nice and clean and pull off a great lap time to extend that gap enough here. Let's see what the gap is on that split. 2.7 seconds. We have pulled another 0.4 of a second in the first sector of the track. So this is going to be very close indeed. Beautiful apex hitting there through turn 9 and onto the back straight. We're going to keep our foot down as Tirana Tigger has won the race. No surprise there. He was the fastest man of everyone in the preseason time trials and also won his evaluation race. Pretty decent line through turn 11 and 12 as well. And our gap going into the final sector was 2.995, 2 Berg behind, which means we need another 5 thousandths. We just need to not mess up this final sector, and we could stay in 6th place in the results. Let's see, slightly off the apex on the penultimate corner, but managing to carry decent enough speed, avoiding the slice through the final corner as well. Now we just hope that we have done enough on this final lap to keep hold of P6 in the race. Have we done it? Here we go, the results, and yes, we have 6th place in the race. Despite a 3-second penalty, we did manage to pull a 3.4 second gap, or 3.3 even, to Berg. But as it turns out, as you can see, it didn't actually matter, because Berg also had a 3-second penalty. So all that pushing at the end was all for nothing, in a way. But either way, we managed to get 6th place, which is a great result. In my opinion anyway, for the season opener, considering we didn't have the most ideal preparation, and we also moved up 2 positions from where we started in the race. Fair play to Ryan as well though, in 8th. He moved up from 14th, and definitely fair play to Nick B, who somehow ended up in 4th place after 1 stopping, having started from 12th place on the grid. So I can only assume that Nick pulled off the soft medium strategy that I had originally planned if I had qualified outside the top 10, but that I didn't get a chance to try out. Either way though, it's been a good start to the season. Great to finally be back racing in an AOR F1 league, and on a game that is actually fun to drive as well, which is of course quite important. So starting off the season with 8 solid points for the championship, 6th position, and hopefully for Bahrain next week we are going to be having our teammate on the grid as well. Fingers crossed that Race Fanatic can make it then and help our push in the Constructor Championship, where we're currently sitting 4th place with those 8 points that I scored. But that just about wraps it up then for my onboard video of this PC Split 1 AOR season opener on F1 2016. I hope you enjoyed the video. Feel free to leave a like and all that jazz if you can be bothered, and if you did enjoy it. And of course, make sure you're subscribed to the channel for a lot more league racing to come in the near future. Not only about the PC League, but also the Xbox One League, and potentially even something for the PS4 League as well. So thanks for watching, stick around, and I'll see you soon on the track again for another league race video. Goodbye.